After being abandoned by their adult children, who moved away and rarely visited, Harold and Evelyn Johnson discovered a rundown cabin in the Blue Ridge Mountains and spent years restoring it into a tranquil haven that drew visitors from across the state. Harold and Evelyn Johnson, both in their mid-70s, had raised 3 children in a suburban home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Their children, now in their 40s and 50s, had pursued careers in distant cities, New York, Los Angeles, and Seattle, and gradually stopped visiting or calling. By 2018, the Johnsons found themselves alone, with only occasional holiday cards as contact. Harold, a retired carpenter, and Evelyn, a former nurse, decided to sell their home and seek a quieter life. They purchased a neglected cabin on 10 acres in the Blue Ridge Mountains near Asheville for $50,000 in 2019. The cabin, built in the 1940s, had structural issues including a leaking roof, rotting floors, and no modern plumbing. Harold began repairs immediately, replacing the roof with metal sheeting sourced from a local supplier. Evelyn focused on clearing overgrown brush around the property, planting a vegetable garden with tomatoes, beans, and corn. Over the first year, they invested $20,000 in materials, funded by their savings and pensions. Their children were informed of the move via email but offered no assistance. Harold and Evelyn proceeded without resentment, viewing the project as a new chapter. By 2020, the cabin had basic utilities installed, including a septic system and solar panels for electricity. Harold wired the home himself, drawing on his carpentry experience. Evelyn added insulation to the walls, using recycled materials from demolition sites. The property's transformation continued with the addition of a porch in 2021, where Evelyn placed rocking chairs purchased at a flea market. Harold built a workshop adjacent to the cabin, equipping it with tools he had collected over decades. They cleared trails through the woods, marking them with stones gathered from the nearby stream. Wildlife, including deer and birds, became regular visitors, and Evelyn set up feeders to attract them. In 2022, the couple expanded the garden to include fruit trees, apples, pears, and cherries, sourced from a nursery in Boone. Harold constructed raised beds to make gardening easier on their aging bodies. Evelyn canned produce, storing jars in a root cellar they dug by hand. The cabin's interior was updated with reclaimed wood flooring, and Harold installed a wood-burning stove for heating. Local neighbors, initially skeptical of the elderly newcomers, began offering help. A farmer down the road provided compost, and a mechanic assisted with vehicle repairs. Harold and Evelyn reciprocated by sharing garden yields and offering nursing advice from Evelyn's background. By 2023, the property had become a gathering spot for community events, such as potlucks held on the porch. The Johnsons' children remained distant, missing birthdays and anniversaries. Harold and Evelyn focused on their paradise, adding a pond in 2024 stocked with fish from a hatchery. Harold built a dock, and Evelyn planted water lilies around the edges. They installed beehives, harvesting honey that they sold at a local market, generating $2,000 annually. The cabin's exterior was painted in 2025, with Evelyn choosing a soft blue to blend with the mountain scenery. Harold added solar lights along the paths, improving safety at night. The interior featured handmade quilts from Evelyn and furniture crafted by Harold. The property now included a greenhouse, built from salvaged windows, where they grew herbs year-round. Visitors from Asheville started arriving after a local blog featured the Johnson story in 2023. The article detailed how the couple had turned neglect into beauty, attracting hikers and nature enthusiasts. Harold and Evelyn hosted informal tours, sharing tips on sustainable living. Their honey and preserves gained popularity, leading to a small online store managed with help from a neighbor's grandchild. Despite health challenges, Harold's arthritis and Evelyn's occasional fatigue, they maintained the property with routine schedules. Harold handled heavy lifting in the mornings, while Evelyn managed planting and harvesting. They consulted doctors in Asheville for checkups, ensuring they stayed active. The transformation was documented in photos taken by Evelyn, compiled into an album shared with visitors. The cabin, once valued at $50,000, was appraised at $300,000 by 2025 due to improvements. Harold and Evelyn had no plans to sell, viewing it as their legacy. Their children eventually learned of the success through social media posts from visitors. In 2024, one son visited briefly, expressing surprise at the changes. Harold and Evelyn welcomed him without bitterness, offering a tour of the property. The visit did not lead to reconciliation, but the couple remained content. The Johnson story inspired a book club in Charlotte, where members discussed resilience in later life. Harold contributed articles to a local newsletter on cabin restoration techniques. Evelyn volunteered at a community center, teaching gardening classes. The property's ecosystem flourished, with native plants attracting pollinators. Harold installed rain barrels for water conservation, reducing reliance on wells. Evelyn experimented with composting, turning waste into fertile soil. By October 2025, the cabin hosted a fall festival attended by 50 locals. Harold built picnic tables, and Evelyn prepared meals from their harvest. The event raised funds for a mountain preservation group. Harold and Evelyn Johnson continued their routines, finding peace in the mountains. Their abandonment by children led to self-reliance, resulting in a paradise built through determination. Harold Johnson was born in 1948 in rural North Carolina. Evelyn was born in 1950 in the same area. They married in 1970 and had children in 1972, 1975, and 1978. The family lived in Charlotte from 1980 onward. The cabin's purchase was facilitated by a real estate agent in Asheville. The deed was recorded on June 15, 2019. Repairs began with roof work, completed by August 2019. Solar panels were installed by a contractor from Boone in February 2020. The system provided 5 kilowatts of power. The garden yielded 200 pounds of produce in the first season. The porch addition cost $3,000 in materials. Rocking chairs were bought for $100 each. Trails totaled 2 miles in length. Fruit trees were planted in April 2022. Raised beds were 4 by 8 feet in size. Canning involved 100 jars per year. Interior updates included 800 square feet of flooring. The stove was a model from Vermont Castings. Neighbors included the Thompson family, who lived 1 mile away. Compost was delivered weekly. Beehives were set up with 3 colonies. Honey harvest was 50 pounds annually. Painting used 10 gallons of exterior paint. Solar lights numbered 20 units. The greenhouse measured 10 by 12 feet. Herbs included basil, mint, and rosemary. The blog post was published on mountainliving.com on May 10, 2023. Tours averaged 10 visitors monthly. Honey sales were through Etsy, starting in 2023. Annual revenue reached $2,500 by 2025. Health checkups occurred quarterly at Mission Hospital. Arthritis treatment involved physical therapy. Photos were taken with a Canon camera bought in 2020. The album had 200 pages. Appraisal was conducted by Blue Ridge Realty in July 2025. The son's visit was in September 2024, lasting 2 days. The book club met monthly, with 15 members. Articles were published in the Asheville Citizen-Times. Gardening classes had 20 students per session. The pond was 0.5 acres in size. Fish included trout and bass. Rain barrels held 55 gallons each, with 4 installed. Composting used a tumbler system. The festival on October 1, 2025, raised $1,000. Harold and Evelyn's daily routine started at 6 a.m. with coffee. Harold checked the workshop. Evelyn tended the garden. Their diet consisted of homegrown foods, supplemented by store buys. They read books on sustainability, borrowing from the local library. Bird feeders attracted cardinals and blue jays. Deer were deterred with fencing around the garden. The online store shipped to 20 states. Visitors left reviews on TripAdvisor, rating 4.8 stars. The couple celebrated their 55th anniversary in 2025 with a quiet dinner. Harold built a birdhouse in June 2025. Evelyn knitted scarves for winter. The property had no debt, with taxes at $1,500 yearly. Utilities cost $100 monthly, offset by solar. They attended church in Asheville on Sundays. Neighbors organized a surprise party for Harold's 77th birthday. Evelyn's nursing skills helped a neighbor with a sprained ankle. Harold repaired a fence for the Thompsons. The cabin's foundation was reinforced in 2021. Windows were replaced with energy-efficient models in 2022. The roof warranty lasted 25 years. Solar batteries were added in 2023 for backup power. Garden soil was tested annually for nutrients. Fruit trees produced 100 pounds of fruit in 2024. Raised beds were expanded to 10 units. Canning recipes included jams and pickles. The stove heated 1,000 square feet. Neighbors provided eggs in exchange for vegetables. Beehive maintenance involved weekly inspections. Honey was labeled with custom stickers. Painting was done in May 2025. Solar lights used LED bulbs. Greenhouse temperature was controlled with vents. Herbs were dried for teas. The blog received 5,000 views. Tours included trail walks. Sales tax was paid quarterly. Health insurance covered checkups. Physical therapy sessions were twice weekly for Harold. Photos were printed at Walmart. The album was leather-bound. Appraisal report was 10 pages. The son's gift was a photo frame. Book club read The Good Life by Helen Nearing. Articles totaled 5 publications. Classes were free. Pond pH was monitored. Rain barrels were cleaned monthly. Compost turned every 2 weeks. Festival featured local musicians. Routine included evening walks. Diet emphasized low sodium. Library books numbered 50 per year. Feeders filled daily. Fencing was 6 feet high. Stores shipped via USPS. Reviews numbered 50. Anniversary menu was grilled fish. Birdhouse housed wrens. Scarves were donated to charity. Taxes paid on time. Utilities bill reviewed monthly. Church involvement included volunteering. Party had 30 guests. Ankle treatment used ice packs. Fence repair took 4 hours. Foundation used concrete piers. Windows reduced energy loss by 30%. Roof material was galvanized steel. Batteries stored 10 kilowatt-hours. Soil test results showed pH 6.5. Fruit yield increased 20% yearly. Beds used cedar wood. Recipes from Family Cookbook. Stove fuel was oak wood. Eggs were brown variety. Inspections prevented swarms. Stickers designed on Canva. Painting color was mountain mist. Bulbs lasted 50,000 hours. Vents were manual. Teas blended with honey. Views grew 10% monthly. Walks were 1 mile. Sales doubled in 2025. Insurance was Medicare. Therapy improved mobility. Printing cost 10 cents per photo. Bound by hand.